to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have you all had a chance to review the minutes? Take a moment to do that. Hi, Slater.
Oh, yeah. Hi, how y'all doing?
So you have three sets of minutes you're looking at. You have the May 13 regular minutes. And then I also provided you with the subcommittee minutes of May 28th and June 3rd.
Well, we don't need to have those reviewed, do we?
We should adopt them, and what I would have you do is, some of you are going to say, well, I wasn't there, how do I know? If you'll remember some board training we had a long time ago, the deal was if those that were there feel they're okay, then you can go ahead and vote that they're okay. So there's enough of you here that were a part of those meetings that you can inform the rest of the group whether or not you think they were okay or not okay, or how we need to modify them. So I think we can do all three of them.
Okay, start off with the actual full member meetings, which would be May
13th.
18th, yeah.
I move approval. Second.
Motion-
You had,
or
did you have changes to
I
that?
made two corrections.
Okay.
Three corrections.
With correct.
Corrections, yeah. Yeah, we took Greg Jackel's name off. He was listed twice as being here. In the memberships, we only limited to he was just here once. And then a correction of spelling in Greg's report. So motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, for the other 2 minutes, sets of minutes from the committee meeting. Mike, would you like to proceed with those at all? I'm sorry? Would you like to proceed with those, or Melinda, or
Laura,
do
Cliff,
you accept them?
Yeah, the first meeting I was still doing the jump thing.
And then Laura was missed.
no, you weren't. You were the family.
Okay, Melinda, do you?
So why don't we do the May 28th? There were three of you that were at the May 28th.
Motion made and seconded. Vote aye. Opposed? Okay, what about the second set of subcommittee minutes?
That's the June 3rd.
Move to be accepted.
Motion made and
She seconded.
seconded. Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It all passed. Okay, we'd like to welcome our agency folks and welcome the newest guy on the stand. Slater, do you want to introduce him to us?
Absolutely. I'm gonna let him pronounce his last name. 'Cause I don't like that. This is Micah, our new acting natural resources staff for the Ochoco. So glad to have him here. He came on Wednesday, I think, first day, and last week. So he's been here a week in service to us for a week here. And we'll give him an opportunity to introduce himself to the group, because you'll see him and that along with us as we move forward throughout summer.
Micah, do you want to?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So Micah Kiso is the last name, coming to you from the Santa Fe National Forest in northern New Mexico. So I'll be here for about the next 4 months at least. Back in New Mexico, I was the watershed program manager and the post-fire recovery coordinator for the forest. So a lot of good work, just like a lot of good work's happening here. And it's kind of been a whirlwind the last week, meeting a lot of new people, a lot of new names, and just kind of seeing what we all have going on in the forest. So great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Micah. Okay, let's start then with the Forest Service report. Slater and Micah together, or whatever.
You got me to do, sorry.
Okay.
You just got me.
I got the new guy.
How y'all doing? Good to see you. Hey, folks, thank you. And so for the most part on the Ochoco, there's nothing really has changed as much from our last report out. However, we are looking to do some additional stuff. We're because of the fires, we all had the fires and Wiley, Rail Ridge, Crazy, and a few others that we had during that. Am I in front of?
No.
Nope, you're
Oh,
good.
I feel you looking back. I was
It's making sure it's doing what it's supposed to
Okay,
do.
so because of those fires we had last a couple of years ago, we're looking in the or on the Rail Ridge fire, we have some hazard trees along the roads that we're trying to deal with. It's roughly 625 acres of stuff that we're gonna try to deal with and dealing with them in two ways, where appropriate and applicable. Getting the trees down because of the hazard is one thing, but whether whether or not, excuse me, we can take advantage, if they have any economical value. Okay, because as you know, we are not very close to a mill, and the mill at this time today is limited to what they will accept.
Hmm.
Okay, in terms of pine, they won't, Gilchrist Mill won't accept anything other than pine. And we're limited, as I understand it, to 28-inch diameter trees for that. And so, and their mill is full, so we have to, in order to get there, to be able to sell that, they got to be able to offload that somewhere. So that's a challenge for us, but yet we're looking to get those trees down on the ground. On last week, I forget what day it was, we had a field trip that we had been talking about up in the upper trout country. And I want to thank folks that came and folks that shared information, and that thank you for showing up, and it was good discussion. And trying to, we wanted to give a snapshot of what we're doing and why in those areas. Both we just went to the upper trout planting area. However, the stand characteristics for upper trout and North Slope had some of the same characteristics. We didn't venture out there because of where it was and how long it take to get there, travel time and all that. But we wanted to give you a flavor of what we're looking to in terms of veg projects and going forward in our future out-year program. Yes.
Could you kind of explain where Upper Trout and North Slope are that you're talking about?
Yes, it's on the north side of the Ochoco main body of the forest, right? Trout Creek, Bear Creek. As you get on over into that roadless area on the east side, north of not south of Mitchell and on out to the east, and that I forget that ranch that's south of there that abuts the forest.
So over to
The Antone?
Antone, thank you. Yeah.
this over. I'd say up the South Fork of the John Day. That's kind of the east side of.
That's the far east side,
Yeah.
but it's north of that to where on the Ocho Divide east. Right?
Okay.
On that ridge. So all the stuff that we haven't, well, that didn't get treated with the fires, that we're looking to do some treatments in there. And one of the things in this field trip that we tried to acknowledge and show is what we're up against in terms of stand characteristics and the insects and disease. It's more prevalent on the east side of the forest, insects and disease, and we're working to try to deal with some of that as best we can, because this is it's going to be a problem. So we're going to treat as much of that as that's, let's say, economically viable. So we're doing that. So I appreciate the folks coming out to that. It was really good, and really gave us an opportunity to hear what folks' concerns were, how can we package something that's economically viable? But you know, and what we're doing, we really wanted. I wanted to have this field trip show two things, because in Upper Trout, for example, we're looking to treat in the RHCA's category ones and twos. For you know, and historically we've stayed out of those, but we're treating in the category ones and twos, but it's only where the road where the R8, the riparian area is not a contiguous block of land. It's broken up by something like a road. So in essence, we're bringing the unit down to the road versus you know, going up the hill to tree because of the distance. You know, so trying to really make sense of what we're doing out there that's logical, and that kind of thing. So another thing was to share what kind of timber was there available and what kind of species and that kind of thing. So I think we did you know, we shared what we're gonna have to deal with in the next, and we're dealing with that. And now we're planning that, and we're on track to on both Upper Trout and North Slope to have an EA complete in March. Yes.
So I want to thank the Forest Service for the trip, but also the way the conversations were managed and stuff. People could ask anything they wanted to, and somebody could normally answer it and
Yeah.
stuff. So I pretty appreciate it.
Thank you. And that's what we wanted, to have an informal trip. So people, so we can hear what you have, what your concerns are, and ask questions, and we can ask questions of you to better get us in alignment with what the community would like to see in and around their forest. So, and like I said, I go back to the insect and disease part on North Slope is a lot more intense, if you will, on the North Slope project. We have on Upper Trout, we do have some insect problems, but they're not as bad as what's on the east side. So we're really looking at that and trying to figure out how best to deal with that. Because let's face it, we can't get rid of our burnt trees now, right? So if we can't get rid of burnt trees, we're sure heck not gonna get rid of the dead trees. So what that's gonna do is cause more fuel on the forest floor. So we gotta work through that and see what that looks like and feels like. Hopefully, you know, things may change around where the markets come up. We heard out there just the market came up from a lumber market just a little bit. That's what we heard. So hopefully that trend will continue. Anything else on the field?
What was the size? Are you still at the 22-inch max or?
You know, we're on both projects, we're not cutting anything over 21 inches.
Is that right? Yeah. Didn't that get changed to where you could?
But
Because
we could, but if if you're taking nothing greater than 28, well, that's not really gonna help us, really. You know, from 21 to 28 in terms of pine, that's not really gonna help us. And in order for us to get rid of them, not get rid of, but sell the mixed con, that has to go either south towards Klamath Falls or Riddle or to Molalla.
Mhm.
So that that don't pencil out very well. So we're trying to figure out what's the best economical way for us to treat these things.
Yes. Well, I don't know if you remember the field trip we took on when Craig Woodward was still alive, and he went up there and nobody was bidding on him. And the reason he said was because if we can't cut anything bigger than 22, if you change that, then we can bid on it. So
Yeah,
that was back when he was alive.
yeah, and if you remember the Bailey Butte, he logged that,
Mhm.
and we had over 21-inch trees that we harvested
Yeah.
there, and we got that sale out pretty quick. We had somewhere to take it.
That was mainly the firs though, correct?
Well, we had some pine too that was in Bailey Butte that got burned up, and we was able to salvage those, and so it was both pine and fir. But
So how much fur is on this unit you're talking?
well, the planting area is roughly about 60 to 70% an upper trout. The upper trout planting area is 60 to 70% mixed comp, and the rest is pine. Okay, so and that's one of the reasons we wanted to share that, show you what we're having to deal with, so that, and we had some potential purchasers there, so that, you know, they could, it's not like we're gonna sell it tomorrow, you know, but they can plan to, if they're interested, to find a market for that. You know, so that's how, but on North Slope, it's heavier to pine. But it's heavier to insects and disease as well. So I know we're at a dilemma, but we're gonna try to do what we can to manage that as best we can. Okay, let's see here. I got to run in my mouth here. I do have some notes, but yes.
I have to ask permission from the chairman if I can speak now or you want me to wait, but sometimes they get out of here before public comment. Is it okay if I ask later a question? Yeah. Okay. A few meetings ago, when you were first introducing North Slope, you talked about Engelmann spruce.
Yes.
And whoever was speaking for that mentioned a musical instrument market. I tried to get some follow-up from your office and it never happened, but is there still any interest in that?
Oh, absolutely. Because we did talk about that. Thank you for bringing that up. We talked about the Engelmann spruce on the North Slope. It's heavy. It's not heavy, but it has a higher percentage than what our normal planting areas have had in the past of Engelmann spruce. So yes, we do have that, and how we plan to do it is utilize it. Well, describe it to the potential bidder is duck for another, or you know what I mean, and just treat it like it's white fur as an example.
So, what would be the largest diameter of Engelmann spruce that you would imagine is out there?
It'd be something less than 21, probably. I'm guessing 15 to 18.
Okay, so that probably wouldn't work, but if you have something that does approach the maximum that you can cut, I sure hope somebody will have a conversation with Breedlove Guitars, because they are using Engelmann spruce in some of their instruments. But by the time you eliminate the heartwood and the bark, and you know, they take a quarter saw of half the tree, you know, it doesn't really account for a very good guitar. But if you have it, wouldn't that be great if the Ochoco National Forest were selling the local guitar maker their spruce for the tops, rather than them going to the Rocky Mountains to get it? Because that's what they're doing now.
Okay, yes, and I know Breedlove also they're having an open, not an open house, but they're opening up a shop to where people can come in and buy stuff. So, you know, I do know that. So we'll really look at that Breedlove Guitars and so yes, thank you. And try to get more of some more specs from them of what they would have. So yes, that and if there are hazard trees along roads, we could go over 20. So thank you for that. Let's see. I tried to do it now, but it's just
Yeah, I had to take mine off.
And I want to mention, we talked a little bit about the timber sale that we're coming up. We got our last sale for this year coming up. It'll be auctioned off tomorrow. It's called Paint Timber Sale. It's a G&A timber sale that ODF has prepped for us, and they'll be auctioning it off tomorrow. And so we'll see how that goes. And I want to also mention our post-sale fire stuff. We got an agreement. We put in a grant and an agreement, an agreement with Crook County Soil and Water to help us with our post-fire stuff on Crazy Creek, excuse me, Crazy Creek and Wiley fires to put in to install fences and things like that was damaged by the fire. And some other miscellaneous stuff, and that's that agreement alone is I think let's say over 1 million. I think it's 1.3 or 0.3 million that we put in through our grants and agreements, and so so we're lucky to get some of that, and also we have for Rail Ridge and some of the other parts of Crazy, we are working with South Fork. I think it's South Fork Rack or South Fork Rack or nonprofit group over there to help with some of the post fire work to install gates, fences, and things like that, and some water developments on both agreements. So and that's and I need to tell you that you know this we're in the process of getting through this, and our because of it used to be where we put in an agreement or grants and agreements through our grants and agreement shop. It goes to them, and then there's some back and forth conversations between us and the grants and agreement shop. Now, once that's done, now they have to, the grants and agreement shop has to send it to the department to see if it passed muster there. So, point being, it takes a little longer to get that through our system. So, but nevertheless, we're hopeful that we'll get this through. And this, you know, that at least the stuff here in and I've been because it's on my district tracking it quite closely. The Wiley and Crazy stuff it's a lot of work in that 1.3 million that is going to be and I'm proud to say that I'm hoping that most of that money that is expended here locally, but I don't know if we have enough local resources to take on that. But anyway, that's what our intent and hope is. And lastly, is that I've been talking about this for the last 2 or 3 years, and that is our prescribed burn. That's and I can tell you it will impact this fall. It will impact Crook County.
That's the one up Mill Creek?
Yeah.
Or Mackay Creek.
Mackay, AMP. So I've made that a priority to get that done this fall. So I just want to tell you, I'm hoping that you, the board here and the members can help us help our citizens here in Crook County understand what we're doing and why. Because it's important. And so we're going to try to have the least impact on the community as possible, but I can tell you just based on how that ground lays in there, it will be somewhat impactful to private.
Question.
Yes.
Where you at on the horses? Are you still trapping them or are you?
No, we're not trapping horses. We're in the process of trying to do a contract to do an inventory. So
Inventory? Yeah.
So
You gonna fly it like you did last time?
yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
yeah, it is. So
Long as the manure, you don't count the manure as a horse. I seen in the picture that it showed.
yeah, no, we count live horses. So in that so we will be doing that.
Are there any other questions for him?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
So when you were talking about working with different, shops like the contract with this reorganization that the Forest Service is going through, is this gonna make those kind of actions better? Or are you looking for that?
Well, let me tell you, you want my opinion or no, but so the intent to your answer is yes. Now, you and I both know the reality of a whole lot of things comes into play there. So I think their intent is yes, but we don't know how that will play out, right? Because all y'all, I think it's been mentioned in here before that they're collapsing the regions. So, all the people that used to help us with getting things through the grants and agreement shop, as an example, like I just described, they're not there. They're not gonna be there.
You're gonna have to go back to like Salt Lake.
Well, it could be Salt Lake or and I think they'll have an operational, what they call an operational hub or something. But I think though it's gonna be one in Northern California and one in Washington. Now, I don't know what kind of services they're gonna be able to provide there. That hadn't been figured out. But the WO, not WO, to be the SLO, I guess, would be in Salt Lake. So the intent is yes, it will supposed to happen, but
Maybe they can bring, I was thinking they were bringing more of those resources down to the.
well, and that was part of the intent too, but we hadn't gotten there. We had that hadn't been fully rolled out yet to see, how many resources will be coming to the local area, the forest level, and it'll be hard. I'll be surprised if I get on a district, people to help with attaining our target. Because as you all know, some of you know that they're not GS4s, 5, 6, 7, and 9 that's in the WO and these ROs, regional offices. So, but that may open up opportunities for us to bring on some of those lower graded employees to help us accomplish our target.
Melinda?
Yeah, I got an email from a Crook County resident that was up in the forest, and I had asked Jeff about spraying the weeds up there and the glyphosate that I was told that they were going to spray up there. Well, he saw them spraying up there. So I'm just curious, it was by hand. So I'm curious, and they were curious as to what are they spraying?
They're spraying noxious weeds.
Okay,
It could be knapweed, it could be Medusa head, or it could be
Marijuana?
I don't know if they're spraying marijuana or not. I hadn't heard that they are, but that's what they're spraying noxious weeds. Now specifically what, I'm not sure. If you give me a location actually where they are, I can look into it.
I can get exact, it sent
Okay.
a picture, there's the car, but they were concerned with the way they were spraying because when you apply to certain noxious weeds, you hit the plant only. But this was lawn spraying everywhere. So that's what concerned them. It's like, what are they really trying to kill? And then the second thing I noticed in the pictures that they sent me, the vehicle marks making runs up the side of that hill in the Ochakos. So they didn't even see that. I saw that.
Is that you? Are you saying we did that?
No. Our beer people, recreationalists are out there ripping up the Ochakos.
Well, welcome to my world every day.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I just,
And so, take a step back and some of you that's been around for a little bit, we tried to do it with Ochako Summit. We tried to set aside some areas for people to be able to do some of that, but we got shot down. We tried and went to court and we lost. So to give OHVers a place to recreate, because they should be able to recreate on public land. But we were trying to give them a place to do it where we can manage, not we can manage it, but the resources that they would be recreating in could be managed. So So we're getting this and we'll continue to try to discourage the user-created trails by taking them out or blocking them, but they just seem to go for it. So thank you for that. We'll continue to do what we need to do there, but just know it is a big deal, not only here on Ocho, but it's all across a lot of the western states.
Well, one of the problems that I ran into, I have an OHV, which I take about 4 or 5 miles an hour. Okay, but we went up camping in the Ochoco's and I started looking at all these OHV maps. And the trouble is you've got approved for OHV travel, little short sections of road that are quarter, half mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile long. And you've got hundreds of them, what was that, along the 22 road? But you can't drive down the 22 road to the next OHV road. You have to load up, drive down to the next road, and that effectively shuts down.
Absolutely.
And that needs to be changed.
Well, you know, we tried to change that. That's what I was saying with Ocho Summit, EIS or EA. And we got shot down. I'm not saying I'm agreeing with you, but we tried and there were some naysayers in the crowd that didn't want to see that happen. I'll be honest with you. So and we'll continue to try to do that, but right now, right now, it's very clear to me what my priorities are. It is recreation as a priority, don't get me wrong, but what our priorities here on Ocho National Forest, timber and grazing. Recreation. Now, you gotta have money to manage the recreation. But you know, so you know what I mean? So I'm not trying to placate you or tell you, so we're gonna do what we can. I'm not saying no to any of the things you said, but it has to be put in context of what we can and can't do with the staff that we have.
So they don't have to load up, they get to load up. That's what you're saying.
Anything else? All right.
Thank you, Slater.
You bet.
Marcus, did you have something else you wanted to add?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, Kyle?
Well, once again, the Forest Service took the entire reporting time slot.
We had more to say. Crook.
I think you don't have to worry, Kyle. I don't see anybody from the park or ODO.
Okay, all right. So for us, a lot of stuff, Juniper Canyon, right? A lot of stuff going on. You may have heard or been involved with some of the conversations around some of the road closures up there, BLM road closures. Commissioner Crawford was in the office this week with some members of one of the subdivisions to talk about that. We provided some of the background on why the roads were closed, etc. That led into some conversation about, are there some opportunities for developing some new OHV trails and new trailhead locations up there? So it actually turned from a negative to a positive, and pretty excited about where that's headed. We're also working with the county. You may have heard of the Flat Rock Road District up there. That is something we've been working with them to authorize the road. We're now working with the county to make it a public road, a public county road, which is kind of a big step. And hoping that gets done here in the next 6 months. And we were kind of surprised the county was open to it, but the folks on that road really wanted it. One of the things we're also doing is preliminary conversations with the county and the city around Barnes Butte, right? Those of you who've been up there, you know, BLM owns the top and kind of down off the east side there. A lot of user created trails in there. There's really only one authorized route that goes up and goes to the top, through the old mines and stuff. We're working to try to authorize a few trails and possibly create a couple of new ones to get that traffic away from the private land. There's getting to be more and more incursion onto the private property. And we all agree that's a bad thing, so we're figuring out how best to deal with that. And that's something that's been requested by a lot of people, and so it's time to do something.
So the guy that got killed up there, was he on BLM land?
He was on BLM,
Well,
correct?
hmm.
Yep. Working with an applicant to lease a small parcel at one of the OHV trailheads in Milliken OHV area for an equipment storage area for somebody who's proposing to do tours. So that'll be coming forward and the public may have a chance to comment on that one. Last specific thing I have is we've started gathering data in and around Liggett Table to kickstart that herd management area plan that we've been talking about for quite a while. And so that's moved forward. We moved some things around, came up with some different opportunities to move that project forward. I know I had said a couple times we were going to do it, and then priorities changed, but we're back to that again. So we're still a few years down the road, but we're hoping that some of the things in the new grazing regs may give us a little more efficient way to process. But I can't comment on proposed grazing regs, so I don't know what those might be. And then I also can't comment on proposed legislation that's up Juniper Canyon.
Oh, so that's the bill that Vince and Merkley are.
Yeah,
So you can't comment.
I can't comment on
Okay, I was going to ask you about it.
it. I just wanted to bring it up to say I can't comment on it before you ask me. Other than that, I don't have a lot. Chugging along, still trying to keep the world moving. We've had a lot of conversations and meetings with the new Wildland Fire Service and continuing to make sure that we still put fires out in the most efficient way possible here in Central Oregon. We continue to do Central Oregon way where we don't end up with green fire truck going this way to put a fire out and a yellow fire truck going this way to put a fire out. We aren't going to break that. And we will continue to do things the right way. That's all I got. Yes, Mike.
Is that a fully staffed operation now?
The Wildland Fire Service? Pretty much, they did on both sides of the forest did well hiring, seasonals, and so the Wildland Fire Service, for seasonal firefighters. I don't have the total number of engines and whatnot we're staffing.
I guess my real concern is it fairly seamless if you have a IC or incident command structure or something in your office, can they be part of that or can?
So really, if you think about realistically the fighting the fire piece, the only things that's changed is where I, as agency administrator, used to have all the authority and sign documents and do things. I no longer have that for DOI lands. That authority resides with the Wildland Fire Service. So they will be the ultimate decision maker on a lot of things that historically would have come through myself or one of the other BLM land officers.
Will they be responsible for dealing with the public on those also?
Now you're getting into the nitty gritty that we're working on trying to move forward. If you think about it, firefighters all the way up through, unless they happen to be part of a large incident management team, don't necessarily have a lot of experience dealing with the public that somebody like myself or Slater right? It has a long history of dealing with public. So that will be one of the challenges that we'll have to work through is when we have big fires on the landscape. How do we get that information out and who does it come from? And if we get in a pinch, I'm sure my role will be a little bit bigger than maybe technically under the current rule set it should be, and that's fine. Because as we all know, we had a conversation today across Oregon, Washington with fire and the line officers that a successful fire season is, right, nobody's seriously hurt or killed. We put the fires out and the public stays informed and at least understands what's going on, right? Still really confident of the first two. That third one is where there's some gray area right now that we know we have to work.
Well, I want to compliment a couple of years ago when they had the fire up there on Juniper Canyon, 3/4 of a mile past the fire station up there on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you guys helped that to 250 acres that could have really got a bunch of houses. And the reason that I think you put it out was because I seen 3 Bor-8 planes sitting over at Redmond and all 3 of them come over there and man, you just put that sucker out and say.
So I believe that was what, 2022 Cowboy Fire?
Is that what it was? It was
Yeah, 22,
2 years
23.
back.
And it was, you know, thinking about possibly some of the positives and negatives that come from the new organization. Dennis Teitzel, the previous district manager, well-known, well-respected throughout BLM. Those planes were really committed to fighting fire in Medford,
Yeah,
right?
I know that.
So they were going back and forth.
Yeah.
And the first call was no. And Dennis, as the agency administrator, made that call and said, you don't understand. A third of Crook County lives up here. You have to get here
Good for them.
now.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. So is that something that maybe is going to be a little more difficult? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it sure worked. I'll tell you
It
that.
did. That between that and the wind changing at the right time.
Yeah.
And I was over on the ridge 2 miles away watching too.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Labor Day weekend also.
Well, Kyle, thank you very much.
You bet.
Yeah.
No problem.
See you in a month. Any more questions for the agency, guys? Okay, then we'll move on to subcommittee update. Mike, I think that's you.
Okay. Well,
Be sure
all
that
the
everybody,
committee is here.
and be sure that everybody can hear you. Use your strong voice.
Right. I've got hearing aids in, so I can hear fine.
Matter of fact, it's a little bit of an echo, isn't it?
So. Cliff and Melinda and Laura and I are the committee. And we've met twice, as we talked earlier during introductions. And we've gone through very extensively looking at the proposed new regulations and stuff, and then I drafted, we had this draft 6/5/2026. And so it's 2 parts. The first page is basically an overview of why we're commenting and expanding what the county should have under that. Notably, when regulations haven't been changed since 1995, and a lot of things have happened since 1995. BLM has made 2 different attempts to change them, but they keep losing in court. And so anyway, we're dealing with old regulations and a new BLM. And so there's a lot of changes documented in here. I wanted to point out a couple of them that some of these are my opinions and some of them vetted by the committee, but the BLM proposes to remove water quality from one of the standards. And I understand that they believe that that ought to be, the water quality ought to be a function of the state, given the laws that exist. Problem is, state has water quality standards, and they measure water quality, but it has little to do with the actual process of getting good quality water in your streams based on all the other land health standards that have to mesh. Water quality, good water quality is an output of the other thing in place. And so the other thing is that water quality is what's called a lagging indicator. As streams start improving or becoming healthy again, we've seen it on Bear Creek and all these others. They can get in pretty good condition if from just nothing almost in 20 years, if like Bear Creek did. But then water quality doesn't really start changing noticeably until maybe 30, 40, 50 years, up to 90 years. Before it really makes a difference. It takes that much time for everything to get, paired out. So anyway, make some comments on that. And what I'd like to have happen is if anybody has disagreements or additions to that after the meeting, I'd like to have about 3 days or so for review and give comments to, and I'll make some modifications of whatever's needed. And then we'll pass this on to Tim. Does that sound right? The next one is they're changing, and this one probably good and going to take a lot of training and discussion but it deals with how they're going to assess landscape health. And they're going what's called rapid landscape scale condition assessment. And it's going to be basically aerial photo, well, not aerial photo, but anyway, they're going to use aerial stuff. They've been working on this, I know, for 10 years at least, and there are a few few BLM districts across in the country that employ it. But ranchers are normally expecting the range cons doing the assessment to visit with them and talk to them and stuff like that. And I'm a little bit concerned that with staffing issues, new people coming on and stuff, who's going to train these range cons, not only in this process, but how do you talk to the permittees about something that instead of having like proper functioning condition assessments along the streams, you might have 2 or 3 points on your allotment if you're lucky, and they'll measure the range health on that based on what their photogrammetry. I know that's an old word, but so that's a concern. The one that I like, and I hope you guys like, and can also have questions, that's this thing for 1700.4 land health evaluation causal fit factor determination. Up until now, and maybe continuing, BLM would go out in preparation for a updated management plan, and they do the land health assessment, and you had to be at least either at proper functioning condition or trending towards that condition in order to pass. And like if you have wild horses on your allotment, horses and elk don't pay much attention to the season of use. So cattle may come on in May or April or something like that and move on. Whereas the elk and horses come whenever they choose to, and they stay quite a while. And in a lot of cases I've seen in Nevada and here or in the Maui here in different places, by the time the cattle come on the allotment on their prescribed season, the thing is already beat past standards because of elk and life and horses. Now here, one of the big ones on Murder's Creek. we knew that what it was because Steve Leonard was going in before the cattle ever came on, before the beginning season of use, and measuring bank alteration and different parameters. And they were already done before the cattle came on. So this is an attempt by the BLM, and all I can say is good luck. They at least want to do what they call a causal factor determination. They want to know what is causing the damage to the land that doesn't meet standards. And so they, yes,
And this really appeals to me as a former rancher, is that the knee-jerk reaction has always been, oh, we've got damaged ground here, cattle are out. And yes, you have to do that just because it is damaged, but yeah, it generally just stops there. And we don't give the allotment owners do not have any say in the matter, even though, and we're kind of going through this up on, up towards Polina. Is that there's a claim and that it's not the actual allotment owners' cattle that are doing any problem. It's horses and trespassing cattle and so on and so forth. And just being able to point to this as a allotment owner means a lot to people. Because then you have something to push with. And even if it's just putting up trail cams to see when you have a season of use up there, and what's using them, it can make a big difference.
yeah, I think it's a really good step, and it's kind of good news, bad news, because, for example, if the horses of the help come on and there's, it's exceeded standards already, you can verify it and justify it, or say, look, here's our evidence, and that's just causal factor, I mean, what caused the damage? But I still can't figure out how that makes it any better for the rancher, because they still won't be able to graze because the damage has occurred.
It's been done.
Yeah.
So it's a good news, bad news, say, well, that's great, we don't have to get fined for it, but we also can't use it. And so
Right. But it does then make you start thinking about alternatives.
Yeah,
Alternative season of grazing,
yeah. And
or, working around those things that we have to live there.
yeah,
Well, it's their habitat, so there is going to be some use by the wildlife. It's their habitat, so they have to use it for their habitat, so if they can work around it for the season where they come through, that would be great.
yeah.
Because what do you do with wildlife's habitat? You can't exactly take it away from them.
No.
So,
Yeah, that's what I say, it's good news, bad news, at least the rancher may not get blamed for his livestock going in and causing the damage, but it doesn't make any difference to the operation, because he still can't use it.
I think it's great because the question like on the campus allotment, Campus Creek allotment, between the horses and the cows, how we all did, went out and did the field trip out there and didn't see anything. Well, where's the proof? So how can you claim that the cows did it if there's no proof that the cows did it? How can you say the horses did it if there's no proof? So the causational factor of this is huge, I think, that they can pinpoint it, and then maybe exclosures can be put around it if they need be. I mean, just to take proactive to this would be fantastic.
So anyway, that's an interesting one, but I don't know the practical effect of it. Then they had a whole bunch of definitions that have changed, and the one that kind of hit my heart was talking about the Taylor Grazing Act and the making it go back to what it was originally intended for. I worked with a group of ranchers over in Montana, the Rancher Stewardship Alliance for 8 or 9 years. And much of that work was consumed by trying to figure out how the American Prairie Foundation has gone in and bought BLM based property and the ranches and the permits that went with it. And they were moving towards having free roaming bison on there. And bison are considered livestock in Montana. But these regulations proposed revisions going very deep into the subject of what Taylor Grazing Act was created for and the intent that it had, and it not be just permitting like bison or elk in some of the cases I've known to graze within the grazing permit, but rather it was production livestock that were permitted under the Taylor Grazing Act. So American Prairie Foundation lost a lawsuit over this earlier in the year, this year or last year, and they're not permitted to run their bison on BLM land anymore. So I think that is a good thing. And then some of the concerns that are raised in here is in a number of places they talk about coordination and consultation and stuff like that, and they kind of exclude the county from that. One of the elements in here at least talks about it that let's see if I can find that real quick. Yeah, cooperation with state, county, tribal, and federal agencies. And they're trying to it says this section is going to clarify the expectation that the BLM will cooperate with state and county governments, not just the agencies of such governments, in administering laws and regulations related to livestock diseases, sanitation, and noxious weeds. That sounds good, but the others don't. It's consultation is limited to the state and the involved committee in most of those instances. And so the county locked out. So I flagged every one of those sections that occurs in. And there's like four or five of them. For example, there's non-renewable grazing permits, but BLM is proposing to revise this section to limit the consultation, cooperation, and coordination process under this section to just the affected permittee in the state or states that contain the allotment and issue. Like I said, there's several of those. A good one is when they send out decision notices under 4160.2, they're going to have a consistent time frame within which they can be protested. And they'll mail that out. But what's happened in the past in a lot of cases is that they'll mail these out and somebody might say, well, we didn't get this till, last week. When everybody else got it 2 weeks ago. And so they're standardizing that time frame. Every person who receives a proposed decision has 15 days from the point of receipt to any protest, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's the proposed, Now that's the old regulation, and so what they're doing now is that when it is sent to the parties required to be served, and they're changing the way they can send it also. They can send it by email or different more modern modes. So. And it's going to expand from 15 days to 20 days. So. Anyway, those are some of the things I'd offer. It's all right. We hold this thing Monday, 10. We got plenty of time on it, but I'd like you to know. So if we hold it, we have comments to me by Monday. That work. And I'm sure with our committee that come in,
Mike, do you wanna can you share your email verbally right now with the committee so that they can for sure write it down and if they have it? Because they can email their suggestions or questions to you.
sure, or call me.
Tell them what it is
What?
Your email address.
Oh,
and your phone number.
okay, yeah. Okay, m1128@hotmail.com. MUNN. Telephone number is 541-480-7970.
797.
7970.
Is that a cell phone or landline?
Hmm?
Is that a cell phone or a landline?
Yeah,
So you could get texts on it as well?
oh yeah,
Okay.
that's email, whatever.
Okay, did you all get that? Okay. And you'd like it by Monday.
Well, close the business Monday.
5 p.m. Monday.
And my business closes at 4:30. That's
4:30 Monday. That's your latest time to get it in.
That's the 15th.
Yes, yep.
And then Tim, what is the due date for this meeting counting?
Yep, so we work backwards, so all comments, whether it comes from the county and or you personally or anybody else, is July 13th. That's a Monday. The commission will only, between now and then, their only meeting that they would take action is July 1. That's the first Wednesday of July. They meet the first and third Wednesdays of every month. In order to sort of prep them, that would require me to go to their work session, which is June 24th, the Wednesday before. And so we've got to have stuff to them by Thursday, the 18th, which is the Thursday before their work session. So
what is that date, Thursday before?
Thursday, the 18th. So if everybody gets comments to you by Monday, the 15th, that gives us 3 days to sort of flesh out put it on draft letterhead and put the signature blocks in and sort of be able to then share it with the 3 commissioners, so they can start reviewing it, reading it, and be up for a conversation on Wednesday, the 24th, for actual adoption on Wednesday, the 1st.
Okay, you all got that? Well, thanks, Mike, and to your committee for the hours you put into this. Any more questions for Mike? Okay, then we'll move on. I'll bet your name is John Eisler.
Oh,
me.
Lynn, excuse me, I have a question for Kyle. Now, when this committee is trying to work this plan, does BLM feel that their grazing is up to standards and all the allotments to push this?
Oh, how do I answer that?
Say a prayer first.
I would have to get back to the committee on that question. I'm normally pretty wide open, you know me, but I would have to get back to you. I understand what you're asking.
This committee? This committee?
Yeah.
What is it?
You know, when they promoted me up one level, I don't know.
We're into all kinds of things.
I do, right?
I was supervisor for 12 years, so I understand.
Yeah.
but I think the safe answer is it would be hard to say that all allotments
Oh, yeah.
are up to all standards.
And it's, right, we could certainly provide that officially, right? Because we do have, we track it, we have that data. When the key word there, I think that I heard was feel, which I'm not gonna compare, but yes, we have official data that says whether or not
Yeah.
something is meeting.
But the proposed grazing regulations aren't changing the standards.
Correct.
They're changing processes, they're
Mhm.
changing, but they're not changing the standards. So if somebody's out of compliance,
Yeah.
they will be out of compliance under the new rules.
Correct.
So,
And I would say that how we are collecting data for the standards is going to change. The standard itself won't change, but how we are collecting data is rapidly changing.
Yeah. because I think you're gonna use a lot more remote sensing, you're
Yep.
gonna use a lot more with fewer staff, you're gonna create new tools to
Yes.
get the job done.
Burns District is just finishing up.
Yeah.
A project with those.
Burn district is what?
It's just finishing up a land health assessment project with some of those new remote sensors.
Like drones,
No, satellites.
Satellite mostly, and then historical data in a way that AI can pull out data easier and more efficiently than the average person can. So,
if we trust AI.
yeah, I like to say that the federal government used to be on the cutting edge of technology, right? In the eighties, when I first came to work for BLM, we were, everybody wanted us because we have the cutting edge technology. Now we're like still in the 1980s, right? So now we're being drugged, thankfully, into the world where there's a lot of things that we can use to help us. And so there's a lot of exciting stuff.
The only question I have about that is that technology is good so long as the people using it understand it and what it means. But more importantly, can we maintain good relationship with the bank too, with the client, that's about the court that's having with it, right?
I agree 100%.
So that was
Always about the people.
you guys lost a lot of people. And the buyouts, so. I worry about, who are the vendors for you, like Kevin Callan, Forest Service. He's excellent. Because, and he's gone, nobody, those kind of things, but.
And I will say, right here in Prineville, we really didn't lose field staff.
Yeah.
We lost a lot of field staff in the last 10 years, so we had a lot of new people. So now those folks are really starting to get into that journeyman portion of their career. So for our office, we're sitting pretty good.
Yeah.
When I compare it to other places.
Okay, well, let us move on. I'm guessing that your name is John Eisler.
Correct.
How do you say it?
Eisler,
Okay.
whatever.
Okay, and so John is from Crook County, you're the Community Development Director,
Yes,
and you're going to present something to us that I don't know about.
something very exciting.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. As she said, my name is John Eisler. I'm Crook County's Community Development Director. Before that, I was Assistant County Counsel, going back to 2020. I'm here today just to bring awareness. The county is going to be updating its Goal 5 inventory. We're starting down that process, kicking it off the Planning Commission tonight. For those not super familiar with Oregon Land Use, Goal 5 is natural resources, wildlife resources, historic resources, groundwater, waterways, all kinds of stuff. And so I thought that might be things that you guys are passionate about, something you guys have a lot of knowledge about. And we're trying to get the public involved as much as we can. And so if you will humor me, I'm going to just run through kind of a quick PowerPoint so you guys are caught up to speed. And then see if any of you all would like to volunteer your brain and your energy to help making this a great project for the county.
You wanna go?
All right, I'll kick it off. Then you go back. So is that the first page?
Yep.
Yes, there's the intro. This is through, we got a pretty good grant from the Department of Land Conservation and Development to help fund this. We're bringing back Ann Byer. For those of you that have been around Crook County for a long time, she was community development director for a very long time. She's our consultant on this. All right, next slide, please. So as I said, Oregon statewide planning goal 5, it requires local governments to inventory and evaluate natural resources and develop land use programs to conserve and protect significant resource sites. The county last did their goal 5 inventory in the 70s.
In the 70s?
1970s, when we had our first comprehensive plan. We tried to update some of our like our wildlife resources around 2009, 2010. It got mucked up in litigation and never went anywhere. And so we are trying to learn from the past and do it from start to finish this time. Yeah, so as I said, Goal 5 includes 15 separate resource categories, including riparian corridors, wetlands, wildlife habitat, greater sage grouse, federal wild and scenic rivers, Oregon scenic waterways, groundwater resources, recreational trails, natural areas, wilderness areas, mineral and aggregate resources, open space, scenic views, and sites. Next slide, please. So as I said, our county code and our maps were codified in 2003, but the inventories from those were from the 70s. That was back before the city of Prineville did their own planning, so they're included in all of our stuff. And obviously a lot has changed in Crook County since the 1970s, and so they don't, our maps and our rules don't really reflect the community's vision currently. And so there's Brent. Next slide, please. So what are the rules? When we originally did it, we went under DLCD's rules in Division 16. They have updated those rules to Division 23. The process, so each of these different resource categories requires their own inventory, their own updating. We do a lot of those through their own separate comprehensive plan amendment. And those, there's a different process for some of them, but the main standard track is step 1 is you have to identify the resource. You need to be clear about where it stops and where it starts. Once you identify the resource, then you have to look at all other land uses that exist or could exist around that resource and identify those other land uses that could conflict with that resource. And once you have those identified, then you go through what's called an EC analysis. It's economic, social, environmental, and energy consequences. And you're trying to find a way to balance and mitigate the harm that protecting that resource entails. And then you create what's called a program to achieve. And so through the normal process, staff brings something to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission takes a look. They have public hearings. The Planning Commission makes a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners has 2 separate hearings to implement an ordinance. DLCD gets notice, the public gets notice. It's a process. And so that is the kind of usual path. If you've been involved, you would know. Probably Crook County. So if you have an aggregate site, that's what this is. If you have an aggregate site, that is the first step is to get it added to our map of significant aggregate inventory. And it has to go through this process before you can get a conditional use permit. In my opinion, aggregate's kind of unique among these different resources because the protecting the aggregate resource means extracting it and getting it out there. So it's kind of different than the rest of the Goal 5 resources, but it's still one of them and still very important. Next slide, please. And so here I run through all the different rules and kind of the background on the different resource categories. Some of these are more involved at the county level. Some of these we just take like a federal agency's map or ODFW's map, or their designations like for federal and scenic rivers. But some of them do require a lot of work. So we don't need to, you guys have a lot on your plate. You can kind of run through these. The point is to get through. So there's wetlands. Those are a big one. Wildlife is a very big one. If those of you that are paying attention to the development of large solar farms in Crook County, wildlife plays a critical role in those and getting those sited, and that's kind of one of the main reasons for us going about this. Wildlife might be its own separate path this time, just because of some direction from county leadership, but we can get to that a little later. Next slide, please. Yeah, wild and scenic rivers, scenic waterways, greater sage grouse, groundwater. Groundwater is kind of limited. It's not as we don't have as much jurisdiction and authority as you would hope for on groundwater. So we're kind of limited there. Next slide. Approved Oregon recreational trails. I don't think we have any in Crook County. Keep going. Natural areas. If you have any questions on these, we can stop and we can scroll back. Keep going. Wilderness areas. That would definitely be something you guys might be interested in. Next slide. Yes.
Does that include wilderness study areas?
For these, we are limited to what Forest Service and BLM give us, and I don't know if that includes study areas. Something we would look into. I think we just take what are officially designated as wilderness areas. And we don't deal with we don't get to control the planning for federal land, obviously. So kind of limits us there. Historic and cultural resources. This one is this has historically been just historic resources, but DLCD they're implementing new rules for cultural resources, which are very much geared around the tribes and notification requirements. Next slide. Open space. We have a lot of discretion on open space. Next slide. Scenic views and sites. We have some of those in our current plan, but we need to take another look. Mineral and aggregate, like I said. Keep going, get to the big finish. 10. Energy and solar. And so also a big part of the reason why we got this grant is the state has created new rules for solar farms east of the Cascades, trying to encourage them being east of the Cascades. And so really large solar facilities typically get cited through FSEC, which is a state agency. But they've changed the rules to make them easier to be cited in eastern Oregon counties, especially large projects. And they have this new program they set up where there are 3 tracks. You can either stick with your old rules, you can accept their new rules, or you can use their new rules to create your own program with your own stuff. And we initially opted out of these new rules to keep our old rules, and we got the grant, so we're going to be the first county in Eastern Oregon to have our own rules. And so with that, a huge part of it is the way the state set it up. If a site is within, I think, 12 miles of major transmission line, somewhat flat, somewhat sun, then they say that's the good place to put solar. I feel like we have a lot more things to think about in Crook County than just if it meets those factors. And so one of the reasons we're going to create our own program is to say that, it shouldn't be, X miles from the UGB. It shouldn't be, X distance from the highway, and kind of directing those in a different spot. There also is going to be an opportunity to create both agricultural benefit programs and community benefit programs. So when these projects do come in, the citizens actually feel like they're getting something back for it beyond just property tax revenue. But that's going to be a big part of that. That's what I'm talking about right here. So next slide. So this is the big one. So one of the ways we want to get the public involved is through these public advisory committees. And so I'm creating, hopefully tonight at the Planning Commission hearing, we're going to create these 3 separate committees that are going to have kind of some clusters of these resource categories. And we are looking for citizen volunteers to be a part of these committees. And so, as you can see here, I have them grouped up. And so, if you would like to get involved, feel free to reach out to me or pay attention to the meeting tonight, or just pay attention. We're going to be sending out some advertisements and notices about openings on these committees. It's not going to be a ton of work, especially if you guys already have a lot of background information about some of these resource categories. It'll probably be 1 to 3 to 4 meetings over the next year and a half. But these advisory groups will get to do a lot of the groundwork to go through this process and make sure that we're doing things the right way before it comes to the Planning Commission, before it has a chance to get mucked up in an appeal. And so we can really get the voice of the people, because I can't climb inside everybody's brains as we do this and try to figure out what's important. So that's the big one. This is the slides I'm going to be doing tonight. So you guys are not the Planning Commission. But that's it. Do you guys have any questions? Right here.
Do you have our natural resource plan that was developed for the county?
I do have it, yeah. I don't think there's any tie-in with that to our comprehensive plan, but that's something to take a look at to see if it can. So like I said, this interagency coordination is big, but the comprehensive plan is it's pretty structured on what it's supposed to have. And we don't, like I said, we don't deal with any planning on federal land. But there should be a tie-in, find some way to get that tie-in. We're not updating our entire comprehensive plan at this time because that's there's 13 or 14 planning goals that we need to have in there. This is just one, but it's one of the big ones. And the idea is once we get this goal 5 in the books updated, then to swing back and look at updating the entire comprehensive plan.
Well, there is a fair amount of I guess 50% of the county is federal property or federal lands, but the other 50% is private. And so there was a fair amount of consideration in this natural resource plan as far as the private property also goes.
Yep.
And you're talking about a lot of things that can affect the private property.
Absolutely.
And so you might look at it from that angle, look at our natural resource plan. I think we did a pretty good job of considering all of the east side thoughts for our town. We're also being driven though by the west side too.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make sure that a lot of the east side cultural and economic concerns are embedded in these goal 5 resources.
So if you're familiar with land use, the east side, I mean, much of the county, but especially the east side, that's all resource land, farm and forest. And so goals 3 and 4, we'll take a look at those in the future, but this interplays with it big time. And so definitely your guys' plan needs to align with that, but also that's why I'm here. You guys are the first group that I've spoken to on this. So hope you realize I see how special that you guys are and how important your work is. But I'm not just here. I have a lot to do. So I came here to hopefully get some of you guys motivated to come out and, like I said, lend us your wisdom and your expertise and your passion, so we can make just a really good document that hopefully can live as long. Hopefully it doesn't live as long, but hopefully it serves its purpose like the first one did.
Well, and I want to invite you to come and ask us questions too.
Yeah. Well, so it gets hard. You guys probably don't appreciate how litigious land use is. You have to do everything completely by the book. And so the discussions need to be had either at these political or public advisory committee meetings, or before the planning commission, or before the board commissioners. Not supposed to be a ton of me coming over here or someone that's drafting stuff coming over here and then not having a part of the public record for that particular thing. So
we've got a public record, don't we, Tim?
You do. We got our own record though. We got our own record over there in land use, and so when we get appealed, we got to give them a whole packet that's got here's what we talked about in front of everybody. So, but yeah, like I said, that's why I'm here. And I hope we can work together on this. We plan on getting our deadline to get the documents ready to go is the end of June of next year. So it sounds like a long time, but it really isn't when you try to get this much public process. And like I said, we have to have multiple public hearings with tons of notice. And so it's going to be a lot of work for the next year. But
do you have a scheduled meetings set up yet?
Not yet. So we have to, first step is to get these packs set up. Second step is to send notice to DLCD, and then we need to send out advertisements for the recruitment for these packs. Once we get all the members on board, then we can set up the meetings, and then we can start the ball rolling. So right now we're working a lot with GIS to get the maps put together, the data that we need. So we have something to look at, but we have to cross our T's and dot our I's with every step. And so the next step with these packs is to send out notices and try to recruit.
Could you pull up
And get
the
some appointments.
packs again?
One slide up.
Okay.
So are you thinking like August for the first meeting of those committees?
I'm thinking we'll have the advertisements out probably in the next week or two, probably have them advertised for maybe a month and then have appointments by the planning commission, like at the next soonest hearing. So that would be late July, if not early August. So yeah, mid-August, late August is when these meetings will start really kicking off.
So did I just see the county commission voted on 2-0 or 2-1? I mean, to do some changing at Powell Butte from the standpoint of the solar panels out there and whatnot. Did you get involved in that?
It's a good question. Yes, certainly I was involved. I was the one they asked the questions to and how to draft the documents and presented the memo. So what they did is we are going to have hearings about whether or not to go down that path. And so it's the same thing. We need to send out notice of DLCD. We need to have the documents ready to go. The vote was primarily to have a discussion. The two options that they want us to look at, the first one is a temporary, it's a very scary word in land use, but a moratorium on large scale solar facilities while we get our own program in place. I was talking about that own Division 23 solar program I want to get in place. So the moratorium would be in place until we get our own rules in place, and the moratorium would be released. The other path is I'm talking to DLCD to see if anybody's ever used it, but when I talked about that Goal 5 update path, the first step is to get your inventory set up, and then you start looking at conflicts, and then you start looking at those conflicts and develop a plan to achieve. There's a carve out in the rules at the state if after you have your inventory established, you can put a pause on everything for 120 days while you try to look at these conflicting uses and try to get your plan set up. And so that's another path we're going to look at. But with that one, I'm trying to get confirmation from DLCD. So the safe harbor is we're just going to take ODFW's maps as gospel and just put them in our books. And so I need to make sure, trying to confirm if we take this first step and get their inventory from ODFW and then call a pause, if we can't ever change that inventory, because there might be some discussion about maybe that wouldn't be the best thing for the county, but that's where we are.
Okay. Well, another thing I seen been several years ago, but back in the Midwest, they went ahead and raised them panels to where the cattle and the animals could all go underneath them. So that would be another option for out there.
That would be another option. That's something that we can look at as we're developing our own rules. And that's something the developers really like that too, because then they get to keep their property tax exemption, right? It gets to stay agricultural land, and they definitely appreciate saving a couple bucks.
Yeah.
It's also why there's a flurry right now, because they're state changed the rules to try to push these things through before these federal tax credits ran out for them. And so we've been getting a little bit barraged with projects, but they just keep getting bigger and bigger.
So where the piles of juniper are still up there, he lost the grants, what I heard, the finance to put in the solar panels.
I've heard that rumor. I don't know. I can't confirm that. I know that they do have planning approval for that site. As far as they relate to me, they do plan on developing that site, but they also approve for another site south of there called Moffett, and they're going to do that one first. They're going to build that one first, and then come back to that one's called TSR North. Is what they're calling that one. So the amount of solar you see in the county now, there's quite a bit more that's been approved. So it's going to go in, but then there's other applications that are coming, including some that are quite large, and so just trying to make sure we get our stuff in place before that if we can.
Well, I've kind of had to hold myself back because I wanted to go up and put a match in them trees and burn that all up.
Don't do that. Just make sure you have your DEQ permit first.
Yeah.
That's what I had heard, was that they had changed the zoning before they marked the trees, and they applied, the different rules applied for burning on the zone that they were in, is what I'd heard. I don't know if that's truth or not, but
No, I mean, so they're working with the Crook County Fire and Rescue on burning those. They have an emergency management plan for that. They didn't, it's complicated. They didn't change the zoning. So that's EFU, it's farm ground up there, but they got an exception to goal 3.
I see.
But the zoning stays the same. And so the idea from the state is these projects are temporary, just 40, 50 years. And then once they're gone, then it can turn back to ag land. So the zoning stays the same, but they've been accepted out of the rules for goal 3 to get that in there.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah,
Appreciate
it's not as easy to explain, but yeah.
So the
that's what happened.
approval is given by the state or the county?
It depends. So they can either choose to, depending on the size of the project, they can either choose to be cited through the county or they can choose to go through FSEC. All the projects in Crook County have gone through Crook County. But that being said, we are the only thing that land use does is an applicant comes and they have their application and they have to show how they meet all the applicable criteria. If they can meet the criteria, they get approved. And so that's, and there's also a lot of these were approved like in 2019 and 2020. And there wasn't any public comment back then. And I think it was kind of more theoretical, like, oh, there might be solar here someday. Once they started actually putting them on the ground where people could see it, now the public is very interested. But with a lot of those, like I said, they were approved a long time ago.
So will the county be adding staff to update the goal 5, or are they just depending on?
Wouldn't that be lovely?
No.
No. Yeah. I mean, we were able to bring on Ann through that grant from DLCD, some money to bring on her, which is amazing. But no, our budget is very lean, and it's just, my kids ask me, why did you do this, Dad? Why did you want to take on all this more work? Because it's really important, and because this isn't the 70s anymore, and we shouldn't be. I don't like having to rely on these things that are so outdated, and applying them to current applications. So, to me, it just needs to be done.
Do you have more questions for John? Well, thank you very much for.
Thank you. And like I said, keep an eye out for those notices. I would love to see all of you on one of these packs. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun project. So wish us luck.
And fun is in quotation marks.
Right. Yeah.
Do you share your email that we can get a hold of you?
Of course. Yeah. John, JOHN .Eisler, EISLER at Crook. Wait. Crookco.
It's Crook County OR.gov.
Yeah.
Crook County
OR.gov.
OR.gov. No spaces.
Why don't you just email it to us? That way we got it.
Yeah. Or you can always just email plan, the word plan at crookcountyor.gov. That will find its way to me as well.
Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
We have the committee members have some updates you'd like to give, right? You have any updates you'd like to give?
Updates? Not that I can think of right off.
Bill?
Just as good as the order. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so when I was riding around with Gary Ackland, who's the procurement forester for Gilchrist Lumber, he asked me if we'd like to send a small delegation over to ask questions, go through the mill, understand what Gilchrist does, why they do the things the way they do and stuff. And I told him I'd pass that on to he said we can take 10, maybe 12 if we behaved.
If we behave.
Yeah, and anyway, up to 10, about 10 people would be welcome to come down there in a group, and he'd host them through the processes and question and answer stuff. So if you'd like to do that, then I'll get back in touch with him and try to get a date arranged. Or there's no restrictions or anything, Ken, is there?
We would have to sort of ask. Depends on if it's going as a committee or you're going as a citizen. So we'll play that by ear. We'll go ahead and judge any interest, and then we'll deal with the details later.
Email. And I'll collect those and see how many people are willing to go, and we don't have to, if 6 or 7 people want to go, I think we can do that. But just easily, so anyway, if you want to do it and suggested time frames, it would work best, because I'll have to get one to him also.
Late fall, early winter would be best for me. If we
Late
can,
fall, early winter.
yeah,
After fire season.
after, yeah.
Imagine that.
It could be December this year.
Right, that.
Laura,
I don't have anything.
Melinda? Oh, sorry.
Do your thing, I was looking at your pictures waiting for you to say something.
Wait, you see what I'm gonna say? Okay, more pictures. One of my hay customers, I delivered some hay to her, and then she told me the story about up in Powview Estates. That a predator had come into her property. She has 2 horses, and her son had just purchased 5 sheep. And he took off on a trip. And then that big storm that came in, she went out the next day to try to find the sheep. Well, she found 4 dead sheep. One sheep was still alive. The one sheep had been gutted. The other 2 looked like they hadn't even had anything, or 3 hadn't had anything done to them. So a couple people came, and her question is, because she shared pictures with me, if it's really a cat or if it's a wolf. And so I want to know, do we pass that on to the wolf committee?
It's not a
Well-
cat.
It's a wolf. It's
Yeah,
canine.
it's got toenails.
Yeah,
Show up.
that's what I.
And it's also a 3-toed cat.
4 weeks ago, we had, on Bear Creek, we had 2 sheep in our feedlot that had showed up from. Anyway, wolf came in and got them both, and they didn't bother the cattle.
And it had 3 what show up?
Had 2 sheep
Oh,
just
Came
came across the country and showed up, as they've been there for 1.5 years at our feedlot. Well, it's confirmed kill by the Fish and Wildlife that you got so you got a wolf that likes sheep.
so is it, you guys think it's been trapped? Because I'm only seeing 3 toes showing on that.
Well, yeah, I don't know. But all I'm saying is there is a wolf that
Yeah,
kills sheep.
she was told by the people that came out that were trying to trap this, they used the dead gutted one and put it in a trap. They said it was a cat and a smaller cat. And I looked at those pictures and thought, oh, that's a cat to me. So anyway, that's her question, because she wants to know if that's a cat or a wolf.
So she really needs to go to the sheriff's office or ODF&W, because ODF&W is in charge of all confirmations of wolf or non-wolf kills, so
Yeah. They didn't get those guys out.
yeah.
Cause if she's giving you the pictures, and you drop them off at ODFW.
Sure. Yeah, is Greg over there?
Greg would be there.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah,
think-
no time.
Greg or Aaron. Aaron would probably be the one you really want to talk to. He's the wolf coordinator. How much time has transpired? The animals are probably long gone. I'm not meaning the live animals, I'm meaning the dead animals.
Just, let's see, this last weekend I delivered some hay and the one was still dead up in the trap. They were trying to trap it, but I don't know if they came in and collected it from there or what.
Yeah.
What she described and told me was, it wasn't a cat kill, based on what the description was. So when she showed me the pictures, I go,
Yeah.
so I just wanted to bring this to you guys to get your opinion and what to do with it.
Take it to fish and wildlife for the sheriff.
Yeah, okay,
They've been dealing with it.
okay. I'll do that, thank you.
About 8 years ago, we had a wolf up on our property and I took a picture of him and took it down and showed the sheriff and asked him if I could kill it. And he said, let me look at it, and he did, and he said it's a crossbred, so go ahead and shoot it. So I never did see it again, or I would have shot it.
And Alberta Estates is, probably has a lot of dogs roaming too. I know on the ranch, over the 10 years, I started adding up how many animals, how many dogs I shot caught in the act, not just passing through, but caught in the act of chasing wildlife or livestock. And it was like 32. Yeah, and they come from 6-8 miles away, according to their callers.
Yeah, their property backs up to the.
That's probably our fault.
So, yes,
No,
I do. We were talking in our subcommittee meetings about the laws concerning a lot of the allotments. And how a lot of them are grandfathered in through, what were those acts, the FLIPMA and also NEPA. But anyway, that got me to thinking about there was a coordination handbook that we used, was our main source of information as far as how the laws are set up. Dealing with BLM and Forest Service. I had given mine to somebody to read and it never came back and I couldn't remember who I gave it to, so I called the guy that wrote it and bought a electronic copy from him, talked to them about, he and his wife both, about how as part of the rack here and they gave me permission to make copies for anyone on the Resource Advisory Committee. And so I guess what I was proposing, or I would like to propose, is I move that we make and bind copies of that book and pass it out to all members of.
We don't have a budget.
Say that again?
We don't have a budget.
We don't have a budget?
If you send it to me, I will donate the printing and binding.
Well, it's an electronic version, right? Can you just forward the email of the book?
Yeah, I can just give you the email,
The attachment?
yeah. So,
I'm happy to have it sent over to Patrick and one, print each person a copy and have them bind it, and I have an account there, be happy to donate for however many copies, however many numbers we have.
okay. Is there,
What is the book again?
it's called the Coordination Handbook. And it's easier to read it than to describe it.
It's the whole background and the reasoning and position of coordination.
Yeah.
Self-government. So it basically is the start point or the path when we started making a plan. Is the takeoff point from there.
Yeah.
If you never delete emails, you may in your email history have an email with that attachment to it already.
Didn't you send that out to us several years ago?
Oh, when this group first formed in 2018, you were given a lot of those kinds of documents in mostly electronic versions. So I guess for the newer members, you might not have that stuff, but Yeah, if you, Cliff, if you send it to me, I'll forward it to the group.
Okay.
Okay, my update is that we're grateful for the heavy rain that we had a day and a half ago. Is that at least holds fire season off for maybe 2 days?
Yeah.
So we're scared. Comments from the back room.
Thank you. I didn't have to raise my heavy little hand. And this is why I asked for permission to talk to Slater before he left, because he left. So thank you. I would be remiss as a general public to not make my comment about the grazing proposal. I didn't hear, even though you're talking in your strong voice, anything about public comment being limited in the future about grazing allotment issues to those permittees who had that allotment. And the general public, a goodly number of us, is highly offended by that. The interested parties should be any citizen of the United States, because those allotments are not owned by permittees, they're still owned by us. And we should have a voice that is equal to anyone else's about what happens to those lands. And I just want you to know that that's what some of your county constituents feel. I think there's more than just me, and I get a lot of pushback, just observing it through social media, that people are really upset about that specific issue. And also the productive nature of allotment use. You know, I personally know some people who were planning on putting bison on their allotment, and they're now not gonna be able to do that, even though bison are native species and would have an entirely different impact on the land than domestic cattle. So I just wanted, I felt like I would be remiss to not say that we're not really happy with this grading proposal. And that may pertain to simply BLM in this instance, but you know, it wasn't that long ago when Forest Service came in and briefed us on the issue of the opening up of any allotments that weren't currently in use. And so, you know, I kind of echo Melinda's expressed need to know where we are, both agencies, because we're obviously getting more pressure from above to utilize our lands for the production of livestock. For the production of livestock. And increased quantities than what we're currently expressing. So, you know, we may not know what the current number of allotments that are meeting standards for BLM locally are. It's not that we need to know that. But same with Forest Service. I know you're brand new and you don't maybe have this information on the top of your heads, but it is critical to know if currently, before all this is actually coming to pass, are all allotments with both agencies meeting standards? Whether that be stubble height, utilization, land health issues, however you measure it. Are we going to be able to sustain increased pressure if we may not be even meeting those standards now?
Real quickly, the response to that would be, these are changed regulations, not a push for additional livestock on the public lands or national forest. And unlike my friend back in the back row here, I will say there's a hell of a lot of allotments west wide that are not meeting standards and will not ever even be assessed probably in the next decade or more. But unless they really get going on this satellite imagery imagery assessments. And so just our there's a bunch of ranchers that are doing really good work on their allotment.
Right.
Lands and the land shows it. And there's a lot of it west wide that don't show any indications any better. But
So Mike, you did not highlight it today in your overview of the committee discussion, but I believe in that 5 pages of stuff, there is a section where the committee is advocating for no change in the public interest comments.
yeah.
To maintain the current status of ability to the public to be able to comment. So that's it. He focused on the coordination deal, the issue about the county, but in that same discussion is a discussion about it's important to have the public be able to comment, and to limit the comment is just going to create more problems.
Might want to read through this thing because there's several different examples of what Kim was talking about. The BLM is proposing to limit conversation and consultation and stuff on a number of these different elements to that thing. Our committee talked about, don't know about this one. And so I think the way I wrote it up is just that we had mixed stuff, and I haven't even read it lately, but anyway, we had mixed feelings on the committee about it. Wouldn't recommend that go forward.
Well, and I don't wanna bog us down with details, I just felt like I need to express it, there is a great amount of concern that. Livestock production is really taking more precedence in general terms west-wide. As it already is, and we are, so. That's all.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, because that's kind of the way we felt too. We built good relationships in this county, particularly in the agencies. And we don't want to see that screwed up, because you accomplish more through relationships than you do through substance.
Right, thank you.
And that was heavily discussed at our subcommittee, about public participation. And the committee felt, and Susie was there as well, she concurred with us not alienating the public.
Okay.
For comment.
I don't think Susie wants you talking about her. Susie probably doesn't want you talking about that, but
It's in a public meeting.
Well, I guess we were at range field day in Burns, the OSU and ARS, and they talked a lot about how they're doing this, helping the BLM with this way of they're trying, they're trying to scale from the 1 inch to what the satellites are at 30 foot, that 30-foot spacing, and they're trying to do with drones and other ways of going from really fine scale and then coordinating that to the larger scale. So that's how they're trying to get these rangeland scale, so that you can use AI. They're trying to figure out how to make AI work from small scale to big scale, so that when they go across with a satellite, they can tell what's really there, and then they should do this range comparisons. I don't like the fact that they spend a lot of time on the office and computers rather than out on the ground, but that's kind of the gist of how we're gonna be able to do this.
And that'll work to a certain extent, but we have to be careful that we aren't
They said that
dropping
too,
the
they
ball
need to get out
on
and
the ground.
do a lot of getting on the ground and truthing what it is with that food.
I would just add to Kyle's and your BLM, it was really neat seeing the cooperative work that's been going on between the Ag Research Center there and the local BLM, because at least one of the local BLM people did a presentation.
And they said they were gonna work with Prineville and the
You'll like them. If you haven't met them yet, you'll like these guys. Okay, is there any other information that anybody wants to share? And we're almost on time. You have 4 minutes. Okay, Micah, is there anything you want to say?
No, I just appreciate you coming and kind of know what to expect, so it's really good to kind of hear everyone's voice. Some of the concerns and questions that'll come up in the future. Looking forward to meeting with you guys next month and hopefully I'll have a bit more information, a little bit more details and. I've only been on the forest once, which was last Friday. It's my second day here. I snuck out into the woods, so I got a good tour of kind of the different conditions and the different work that's happening out there. Definitely, explored kind of the shoots a little bit on the weekend, and I appreciate the solitude on this side, honestly. Driving around, I think this is the place to come camp and recreate a little bit.
And you're from Santa Fe?
I am originally from Wisconsin. I've been down in the Southwest for about 15 years. For service, but yeah, coming from Santa Fe and, there's a lot of kind of, multiple use complexity, right? Grazing management in the Southwest as well. I would say with some of the mitigations and stuff I've seen up here and read about already, there's a lot more protection for your riparian areas and water, which is kind of ironic where it's more scarce down in the Southwest, with a little less protection, but I really echo it's all about relationships. In non-watershed programming down there, I do a lot of work with the permittees and the folks that graze livestock in the forest. We work well together with some, and some, just see us as the federal government, but as soon as we open our mouth, they don't want to have anything to do with something. My focus for the last 6 years has really been working with those that are wanting to work with us, and we've been successful. The example, just got received $350,000 for one permittee for upland water developments, to kind of take the pressure off one of our stream systems. We're trying to show that, hey, we're here to work together. It is about multiple use management, but we have to take care of kind of other resources as well. So looking forward to, trying to do some of those same things here.
No, welcome to Central Oregon.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So I might mention that in Jeff's email to me that he wouldn't be here today, that Slater would be speaking for the forest and that Mike is joining us. He also shared that Isabella is no longer with the Ochoco National Forest as their public affairs officer, so
That was short-lived.
they will, that's why we didn't have a printed report this month from the forest, but it's his goal and the Ochoco's goal to continue with that kind of information for us and for others, and I don't know if they have backfill behind her or what the plan is, but anyway, that's a staffing change.
They do have a detailer coming in. Her name's Stacy Long. Originally Stacy Lacey. She has been in Central Oregon forever and has been working for the regional office, so she's gonna come back in as their PAO. You probably do this.
You know more than me.
Okay, so they're excited she's coming soon, so they will have a PAO.
And the public officer that came with Stephanie McKinney last time for BLM is no longer with BLM, so.
She now is a public affairs officer for Bureau of Ocean Energy Management. She's headquarters working from here.
Oh, well, that's good
Not her
work.
choice.
So, one of you guys, the intent to bring the two agencies together down here, back in 2000. So I think my public affairs would be a logical one to coordinate between the BLM and Forest Service and stuff on behalf of the community and the two offices.
Well, and that's here, the fire organization, right, Kaufmas? That's a prime example of that working. It doesn't matter whether it's BLM Forest Service or Department of Forestry, for that matter, delivering fire info. Yeah, that's a prime example. It's just if someday something happens, it could work.
Okay,
Move we adjourn.
motion has been made to adjourn the meeting. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned right on the dot.
That's why I heard.